We welcome you into another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. We are coming to you from Quaker Steak and Lube in State College, presented by Lion Country Kia. And several things we can get into today, dear Goon. It's a busy day on the national news front in the world of sports. And, of course, for Penn State, Nittany Lions getting ready for the matchup with Maryland on Saturday, a 3:30 kickoff, and in a season where you can't take anything for granted. And maybe it'll come back and bite me like it did with Illinois. I am taking a W here before the game even kicks off.
Same scenario.
Very much. And actually probably should be more worrisome because it's at Maryland. Yeah. I mean, Illinois, for crying out loud, was at Beaver Stadium. So, and truthfully more worrisome because Maryland is has a again, if there is a team out there other than maybe Rutgers that wants a win over Penn State more than Maryland, I don't know who it is, and it certainly isn't Illinois.
Yep.
So, you know, those factors are there. I just, despite the 3-game losing skid and over a month since the last win, I still feel very, very good about Penn State's chances, which, again, ought to worry anybody out there that knows my history when it comes to the prognostication ranks. You ought to be very, very concerned.
You're getting Lee Corso like on your
yes, I am.
Your backward.
Oh, picks. I need. I don't want to do the mascot hat. We need to come up with something so that you know who to
every time
against.
Ironhead makes a pick, it's like,
yeah,
go the other way. I'm right with you. I mean, we've been spot on. I mean, me and you have been very similar on this whole season with the predictions and what we think was going to happen versus what happened.
Well, for this game, the couple of things that I'm wanting to see. What's your thoughts? What I would like to see them do, and I'm going to focus on the running game for a second. What I would like to see them do is try to, and again, this is just one person's opinion, worth nothing more or less than anybody else's. And part of this is an old school thought process, and I will concede that going in. And I've seen, we were told for years that a dual quarterback or a dual running back situation doesn't work. And we've had plenty of examples over the years where it has worked in both of those scenarios. That being said, I do think there is something to being able to really get into the flow of a game at running back and be able to kind of set things up, see how defenses are reacting and adjust to it. And I just don't think with the rotation, this is where I'm at after weeks of not being able to figure it out myself as to why the running game isn't going. I'm going to throw up against the wall that it's that the running backs aren't getting comfortable in there. And even if they have a good series, they're still out the next series.
You're talking about a game.
Pick whoever it is. Yeah, pick whoever it is. And again, I realize they're all very close, and maybe you flip a coin at the end of the day. But pick one and ride with it at least through the first half is my thinking. Let's see what happens. See if they – because, I go back over the years, and like a Blair Thomas, right, there would be occasions where he would get bottled up for a little while. But, man, over the course of the game, he's like, oh, no, I see what this guy's doing, and I can set him up. And you would see, and by the fourth quarter, again, part of it is, yes, if you're a good offensive line, a good running back, you're wearing out the defense. But part of it is, no, I know now what it is I need to do. And, yeah, you get that rhythm, you get that flow, and you just feel like you're in it. And again, it's even if things aren't going well early, I think you again start to, oh man, that guy, every time I'm getting to the line of scrimmage, he's pitching this way. Hey, maybe I can cut back. I don't know. And maybe I'm reaching here.
They set up with the head fake and, I'm going to fake you, then go to the outside, but you can do that all the time. And then boom. But if you're not getting 10, 12, 15, 20 carries, you can't be doing that. That's a hell of a point, Ironhead. I never even thought about it like that. Like, no one's really gotten into the groove of the game because they've been rotating so many guys in and out. And it's like, if somebody stays hot, they're still going to run 3 guys. They're like, let's go with the hot guy. I mean,
yeah.
So I want to get back to the Maryland thing, but the looking ahead thing. I thought about this and we're looking ahead and we look past Illinois because we're going to Ohio State and this and that. I don't think we're going to have the look ahead problem this week because we historically have a ton of guys from the Maryland area. And this game means a lot to them.
Yeah,
it really does. And I think that the guys that are on the team are not going to allow guys to be looking ahead. That's just my 2 cents on that whole thing.
Well, I also think, and I don't even know necessarily that it was looking ahead that bit them against Illinois. I still can't figure out what the hell happened in that Illinois game. I really can't.
Give Illinois, I got to give them credit. They came out here. They didn't bow down. They
no question. But man, it's still inexplicable to me how that game played out.
Top 5 losses in Penn State football history, no doubt in my mind.
I think you'd be hard pressed to dispute that.
I mean, the Toledo game of 2000, I always kid around with Kirpakis about because holy Toledo, just kidding around because it was his senior year.
Yeah,
but that was a good damn football team.
Yeah,
going in there, no one really knew, but they were by the end of the season. Everybody knew that they were a hell of a team. But Illinois was not a heck of a team, nor are they going to be a hell of a team this year. So, again, that just blows my mind that was such a bad loss.
Yeah, and it just, again, to me, it just seemed to kind of come out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
The Iowa loss notwithstanding, it's still completely befuddling to me. But I think because you've gone through that Illinois game, and I mean, I agree with you with the Maryland players and some of the connections there. I mean, this is a game that I think many of the coaches and players have a personal stake in and will be fired up for those reasons. But I also think, listen, they've gone over a month without a win. This has got to be a hungry team. I don't care who you're playing. This team has to be chomping at the bit just to get a W and do whatever it can to make that happen. So I think, I think from a focus standpoint, Penn State will be in good shape. And again, I think from a talent standpoint, right now there is a pretty wide gap between what Penn State's putting on the field and what Maryland's putting on the field across the board.
You have to exploit. You have to remember that, exploit it, and don't let them forget about it.
So the other thing that I would like to see from Penn State in this matchup is just being able to take care of the football and create opportunities the other way. Like, this is a game where you should be able to rack up the turnover margin. I mean, this is a game where you should be +2 or +3 if you're Penn State. And if you do that, then you should win the game very handily and very comfortably. But I think, after the scoop and score in just the last 3 weeks, I think part of what needs to happen, first and foremost, you got to get a W. You got to find a way to get a win and, change the overall mojo around the program right now. But I also think you've got to try to set the tone in terms of toughness, attitude, and just what you want to do for the final 4-game stretch here, starting with the Maryland game. And I think, that's important right now for this team is to not just win the game, but to go out, figure some things out that have gone wrong these last few weeks. Obviously, if Sean Clifford is more healthy and getting more comfortable, that helps. Although he certainly was effective against Ohio State on Saturday night overall. But I think this is an opportunity for Penn State to kind of maybe reset some things. And as we've talked about, Goon, listen, you want the pressure of trying to play for a national title, so I don't misunderstand that. That's not where you want to be. But that being said, now again, you can just get back out to just playing football. You really, now you are playing with house money to a certain extent, if you're Penn State. So go out and try to ruin Michigan State season, ratchet up the pressure on Harbaugh, hand Michigan State maybe its first loss. We'll see what happens in the Iowa State game. But I think for Penn State now, it's just let's see how you can finish up. And again, a 10-win season still very much in play. And I know it's not what you were shooting for at the start of the season, not what the aspirations are. But again, I think in today's game, notching another 10-win season is significant. I think on the recruiting trail, that's significant. From an overall program momentum standpoint, I think that's significant. There's still a lot to play for, just not what you were hoping you were going to be playing for this season.
I'm sick and tired of saying it, but every week you got to wait for the first 20 minutes of a game to see what team's going to show up. I mean, are you as upset about that as I am? Because that upsets me that every week I have to worry, okay, well, which team's going to show up? Because this team right now is, if our team shows up Saturday and they play well, it's going to catapult them into the next couple of games, where if we go out there, we're flat, and we, God forbid, lose to Maryland, I cannot see this team recovering by the end against Michigan State, and Rutgers. I really don't.
I will agree there.
I mean, it's just one of those things. It's this is, again.
Yeah, then it has just completely collapsed.
Frustrating to see. Okay, well, we're gonna see what team shows up, the Ohio State Penn State or the Illinois Penn State, and then I'm sick and tired of even talking about that. We should have the same team showing up on a weekly basis. So, my feeling is that the Ohio State team will show up. The Penn State versus Ohio State team will show up. I hope we have more pride in this than what we showed against Illinois, and then this is a team that's going to go out there and then. I mean, our guys, I hope that they realize that, Maryland wants to embarrass you. They don't like anything about Penn State. Not one person I know from Maryland who played football at Maryland or went to Maryland likes anything about Penn State. So if they can come here and just finish our season off and just put us finish him, rip our heart out or cut our head off or whatnot, they would gladly do that. And our guys better be ready for that, because it's going to happen. They're going to come out guns blazing tomorrow on Saturday.
Yep, no question about that. Talk a little bit about the college football playoff rankings.
I'm still aghast.
Your thoughts? There's a lot of things over the years that this has been in play. Most of the time, I might have disagreements here and there, but it's I can see that seems pretty logical, the thought process there, and you hear the explanations of why the teams are ranked where they're at, and it's okay, that makes sense. This is the first time I can remember anyway where I'm just this just makes no sense to me.
From top to bottom. I mean, not just late and.
I mean, how is Georgia number one? Right? Everybody's no.
Okay, we got that one right.
Yes,
that's the one they got right, and we'll leave that one alone.
Yes.
I mean, Sparty's got one win over Michigan, who's very unproven as is. So, is it that good? But I mean, I'm okay with all that. The Alabama one is completely. Just absolutely blowing my mind, but it is. It's like Roger Goodell getting up there and talking with the NFL. You got to protect the shield of the note of the NFL. So the ESPN and the BCS picking the playoff, they got to take care of the SEC. So they have that backloaded. I see A&M is 14, and they have 2 losses against 2 not great teams. It's just. The Cincinnati thing blowing my mind. The one that I'm just fall down astounded by is Oklahoma. I mean, how are you? I mean, Chris and I were talking before the show, your conference is no different than the last 10 or, since Nebraska left. So what has changed about that conference in the last few years that they completely just disrespected Oklahoma that bad. It's almost like somebody, like, after the first 6 picks were made, like, oh, Jesus, we forgot Oklahoma. And then, like, okay, we'll vote on them now, and okay, we'll put them at 8 or 9. So just crazy to think about.
It is. The Alabama thing, I think, is also fascinating because what we've heard over the years is, right, and the folks that are in favor of keeping the playoffs at 4 teams, that every game matters. Well, does it?
Not really.
Because Texas A&M is not having a great season. I mean, I think it's a good team, but that's not, like...
They're better now than they were. Let's just say that.
But they're not a juggernaut.
No.
I mean, this is not a team that will be contending for a playoff spot at the end of the season. And again, Bama loses that game, and it's a Texas A&M team that is not with its starting quarterback from the start of the season.
They're on their 3rd string, 4th string.
And,
they're just
yes, and the other thing. And I get that, we're rewarding wins, but Florida is also not exactly a powerhouse. And Alabama, again, they won it, but very close. And what everybody says is, you're looking at the eye test and all of that. I mean, the only, to me, truly quality win, and I'm not even sure how quality that is now, is Ole Miss. Mississippi State's having a good year, too, and Bama did blow them out.
But they're the Iowa, Wisconsin, Penn States of the SEC. They're the second-tier teams.
Yep. So, I don't know. And they're trying to build up. I just love. And listen, I mean, what do you if you have any game, right? You're going to build it up. I mean, every network does it. But they're acting like this Alabama LSU game is a showdown between premier programs that could be. The way they're selling it is it's making it sound like this is it could be an epic battle, and 2 teams that if you watch the promos, you'd think both these teams are on the brink of winning the national title again this season, and obviously LSU is far from that for this year.
Did you look at the games this weekend, though?
That being said,
not a real.
No, it's not.
Not like, I got to watch that game. There's none of those on.
No, which is unfortunate because we're at the time of the year where you want to be seeing those games, right? Like that's what's fun. That Michigan State game last week was fun to watch.
But I wanted to watch that. So, but with that said, when we had our bye week, I remember sitting there on a Saturday or a Friday or a Saturday night, and I was like, not many good games on this weekend, but they ended up being some really good games on that Purdue upset of Iowa. And by the way, Iowa's upset at beating us was the last time they won also.
Yeah.
So there's 5 of us. 5 losses in a row from that game.
Well, listen, the LSU upset of Alabama is going to be a fun one to watch Saturday night. Or something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all on how the games are being played, and I know that there's not a great Big Ten game on this week, but there's going to be an upset somewhere. That's going to happen. So I do look. You still got to watch, right? It's like the lottery. You can't win.
Absolutely.
You don't play.
Absolutely correct.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I just compared the lottery to the college football. So
I want to touch on James Franklin's comments, too, about the playoffs being unfair. Because while I think he is right, I also think there is no way. This has been what I've been saying this since I was a kid, and through all of the incarnations of so-called national titles in college football. And I think we talked about this a little bit on Tuesday, but just to expound upon it a little more, in all of the pro sports leagues, right? And listen, there's always, within any season, right? There's always a stronger division and a weaker division. And yes, if you're in the weaker division and you get in, it's an easier path and you lucked out. But there's, you're playing against very similar competition, and in most of these leagues, Major League Baseball being the exception, there's comparable money being spent within the organizations across the board.
Yep.
Again, yes, some will do some things differently, better, and all of that, but it's within a pretty competitive framework. that's not necessarily the case when it comes to college football. And again, I think James Franklin's points were right. I just don't know what you do about it. And I don't think getting to whether you make it 8 conference games or 10 conference games or 9 for everybody, even then, as you've talked about often, Goon, it's so, well, the SEC isn't, you're not, Alabama and Georgia aren't playing each other during the regular season, whereas in the Big Ten, over, a 6-year period, all of those teams are facing each other. And so, and even if you mandate, okay, well then, you have to have the crossover games or whatever. A 9-game schedule in a 12-team conference isn't the same as a 9-game schedule in a 16-team conference, right? Like there's still more ability to miss, even unintentionally. As we've talked about, you can't predict from one year to the next, let alone 4 or 6 years out. Okay, well, we'll put Penn State against Wisconsin because we know those 2 teams are going to be right near the top. And you get a season like this one where, and who knows, Wisconsin may end up being the West representative before it's all said and done. But, neither of those teams this year now are having those banner seasons. Funny how that's
shaking out right now that it's Wisconsin and Minnesota right now. And it's, to start the year, they both started so slow that it was like, oh, Iowa's running away with it and this and that, and now Iowa's not even there. They're a complete afterthought in the West.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the games I am curious to see, and I'm not predicting the big upset here or anything, but I do want to see what Nebraska does against Ohio State. I do think Ohio State will have a bit of a hangover, bit of an emotional letdown coming off the win over Penn State.
As an ex-player, physically, you play in those late night Thursday, Friday, Saturday night games, me. It takes a toll on you.
And then you're going on the road.
And that's a big thing. I talked to Booch about that earlier this year, about the, Auburn having to come up here on a night game, and then the next week you're just off.
Yeah.
Traveling to or from, and you're right. Do not be surprised if Nebraska comes out and plays Ohio State really, really hard.
Yeah, because I still think Nebraska's a better team than what the record and all of that would indicate, and I still think Scott Frost is a good coach, and I just that feels like a game that is. I'm not predicting Nebraska win it. Just is a game that I think is going to be closer than a lot of people expect. And again, if you're out there betting, I would give Nebraska 50 and take the Buckeyes because I'm expecting a close game between those two. But I'm curious to see it.
High-scoring close game. Final score 7-0.
Along those lines, and with that thinking in mind,
I will look forward.
I do not see any chance for the Steelers to beat the Bears. Looks to me like the Bears are going to blow Pittsburgh out. I see no hope. I'm not even sure why the Steelers are going to.
Don't even
show up, to be honest with you. But
come on, let's talk about tonight, Ironhead.
Yeah,
Flyers, Penguins. First time of the year, game 1.
Yep.
Flyers are somewhat competitive this year. Finally,
no Crosby for the Penguins.
What
Boy, the virus is getting everybody this week. Everybody who's somebody.
Yeah, Crosby wasn't back yet, right?
No.
He hasn't played yet. He was practicing a little bit. Comes back to practice against
No, and
COVID,
I'm not sure if Saquon. I don't know if they were expecting him. That they were saying that he was getting close. Now I don't know what getting close could mean. Yep, he's going to be available the next game, or another month, and he'll be actually out there on the field. I don't know what getting close means, but that's what one of the reports on Sunday that they're like, Saquon's getting close.
Sunday night or Monday night?
So the Steelers?
Yeah, no. Saquon and the Giants. They played Monday night, right?
This past, yeah.
And they were saying,
Steelers are this coming.
They were saying, Saquon might come back next week, and then to get a game in before the bye week. And I looked at my wife and I said, "Why the hell would they rush him back?"
Well, now they're not.
Why not give him another extra week to recover?
He definitively will not be rushed back.
Let's rush him back. Let's get him hurt before a bye week so he can, Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the other thing I said. I said, are they really worried about they're not going to keep up with the Cowboys right now? The NFC East is over. That's done. It's just playing along right now. But I just didn't understand what the announcer was trying to say. they're thinking about bringing Barkley back next week, and then to get a game in before the bye week. And I was like, why don't you give him an extra week to recover? You don't have to worry about him the rest of the year. So, well, it all taken care of. The COVID took care of all that. So, so I did mention before we came on the air that isn't it peculiar that Sidney Crosby, Aaron Rodgers, and Saquon Barkley were all come down with COVID on the same day or same within a 24-hour period of Ruggs getting in that car accident. And I don't know who said it on Facebook or Twitter, but somebody said the fact that we're talking more about that than we are Ruggs is what's wrong with our society right now. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers and his homeopathic vaccinations or whatever, but then we're not talking about Henry Ruggs, I just, Jeff, I'm completely stunned and amazed that I just don't understand how a guy like that, it is a rule in the NFL that anybody needs a ride at any time. You just make a phone call. You know what I mean? And that's just what blows my mind that something like this could happen with that. Man. And it's just, it breaks your heart because the woman who died, and then, his life is, for lack of, his life is pretty much over. Screwed. They're saying that he might not get as much time because he's going to have really good professional lawyers. And I'm like, I don't know about that, man.
I don't either. Again, it wasn't just 155 or 156 miles an hour. That's
hit
just
the woman at 127.
And I'm not sure.
With a loaded gun in the car.
Yeah.
At 0.16 blood alcohol level. Just like, it's, come on. Huh.
Yeah,
it's a shame. It's sad.
I cannot, as you said, there's just so many things about it. It's just one of the most senseless things out there. And not that anybody, poor, rich, or anywhere, you should not be driving drunk. But my God, man, you literally have the world at your beck and call. You are an NFL athlete. You are making big money in one of the most fun cities in the world. Listen, I get it, and I've talked with many people, and I don't know if he has, addiction issues or if this was just a one-time, horrendous decision or any of that. But it's one of those things where you have to have the plan in place before the night begins, right? Alcohol impairs judgment. There's no question about that. And you can't be making the decision after you've had a few. You know what? I think I'm okay. You have to go into the night saying, listen, I'm not having any, or I'm having only one, or, one every couple of hours or whatever it is to keep yourself definitively on the safe side of sobriety if you're going to be driving. Or again, when you have the type of money and influence that he has, with the influence, I cannot believe that you cannot find a friend or even a stranger. Hey, do you know who I am? Do you mind giving me a ride home? But again, you have the money to hire somebody too. No, but one way or another, you've just got to be able to make the right decision. Yep. And as you said, that your heart goes out to the victim's family, but also to everybody that knows. It's a horrible situation.
There's nothing good about it.
We had. I'll never forget. We had. It was an older kid in our neighborhood when I was growing up, and he ended up. It went to a Pirates game on a bus trip, came home, and then they were drinking on the bus on the way home, got into his car, and was involved in a fatal accident downtown. And and his parents were just two of the nicest human beings I've ever met. And it destroyed them. I think it killed them much earlier than they would have. He ended up going to jail. Yeah, it was. It's just, you just plead with people to please don't put yourself in the situation where it's even possible. And I just can't.
I'm guilty of it as anybody.
I can't imagine the like going that speed though. I mean, I can't imagine going that speed. Period. I can't. I've been in a car a couple of times, and I've never. I think the fastest I've ever actually gotten a vehicle, and I'm not proud about this, but it was like in the 90 neighborhood. I've been in a car that was doing 100, I think twice in my life with the same buddy. And again, not smart, but in all three cases, very, very sober and on wide open highways. I cannot imagine the multiple bad judgments in getting in the vehicle and driving to begin with, and then getting your vehicle up to that speed. And again, obviously, he will regret it the rest of his life.
Sure.
And as you said, you talk about being on one course with your life and now taking a detour that is just you're never going to be able to fully recover from.
No. And it's a question that people were like, well, Dante Stallworth, it happened to him, probably about 10 years ago. He killed that guy but the guy was crossing a highway illegally.
Yeah.
I get it, but he was still drunk.
Yeah.
It was early in the morning and he hit a guy. But he still played in the NFL again. So, I mean, do you think that Ruggs will come back and play in the NFL?
No.
I mean, people would have.
I mean, I never say never, but if you're asking me right now, do I think that? No,
I don't think that anybody in his league would want to handle that kind of publicity.
I'm not sure he's going to have the opportunity. Again, we'll see. In terms of, I mean, I don't think I think there's a pretty good chance he's not going to be free in time for his playing career to resume.
You would think, but you never know because
I hear you.
Powerful lawyers can do powerful things, so. Money talks. There's a guy who's going to lose. He's going to, the Raiders are going to say, you give us our signing bonus back. So he's lost everything.
Yeah.
They're not going to say, hey, you play for a year, you keep that bonus. No way. That's paid over time. And then he's not going to get that. Just sad situation all around for him, for the Raiders, for the family of the victim. God, God rest her. She rests in peace.
Yeah.
The woman's dog died in the car. Sad. And then just senseless and
completely senseless. And that's the great frustration with that case.
10, 15 years ago, the NFL supplied rides for all these guys. They still do. The problem with it is that guys in the NFL were not using this service because the owners of the teams and the league and the coaches would know who was out late at night, where they were they drinking type of thing. And part of the NFL players agreement is don't ask, don't tell, no one knows. He needed a ride. He just calls a number, and every NFL player has the same service. Call it, you come, they will come pick you up, and you will have a ride wherever you want to go. Why you don't use that, I don't know. And that's just, again, I'm more baffled by all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize that. That's we'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll talk a little more hockey tonight, Penguins and Flyers, and we'll get into some NFL talk as well, on the field talk, as we continue with the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show after this.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Quaker Steak and Lube is throwing open the garage doors and setting up the umbrellas. It's patio season. Come enjoy great food, drinks, and fun in the sun. There's always something happening at Quaker Steak and Lube, but we're really amping up our event calendars for our favorite time of year. Visit thelube.com to find out what's happening at your local lube this season. Lunch, happy hour, dinner, or late night, indoors or outside, at Quaker Steak and Lube, you'll always find big flavors, friendly faces, and lots of fun.
Hi, Johnny Broom here. If you're in the market for a new Hyundai or a pre-owned car, truck, van, or SUV, nobody beats a Blaze Alexander deal. But don't take my word for it.
Hey, Goon says tell him Johnny sent you.
Hey, tell him Johnny sent ya.
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Wait, tell him Juan or tell him Johnny sent you?
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Here at Bill Pickles Tap Room, we say,
tell him Johnny sent you.
And remember,
tell him Johnny sent you.
We welcome you back in as I finish up a chicken tender here at Quaker Steak and Lube. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on a Thursday. Again, Penn State, Maryland, 3:30 kick at College Park on Saturday afternoon. The beloved Steelers, I think, on a good track right now. Need to keep it going against a Chicago Bears team that is the equivalent of Illinois
yeah,
in the NFL right now.
Did you get a kicker yet, or is Boswell back?
I'm not sure what the how that's going to play out just yet.
Oh, that was so funny, man. I'm watching that. My buddy called me. He's like, I'm not watching the Steelers game. What happened to the kicker? And I said, you got to YouTube it. And he tried to play quarterback for Halloween. He got lit up. It was beautiful.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think the Steelers, though, have a chance again to really build some momentum here. And
Bears or
and
Illinois? Who's Detroit?
Detroit is
State College High School playing in the NFL.
Man, I tell you.
Woo. How did you get beat by the Eagles 44-6? I mean,
well, the thing is, before that game, that was that they were in the game. Like
yes.
I know it's ridiculous to say about a winless team, but there was reasons for optimism. I really do think that that's the case. And you could see some things coming together. And again, they were a pretty trendy pick from the national prognosticators going into that matchup with the Eagles on Sunday. And obviously, it did not come together in any way, shape, or form. So we'll see what happens. A couple of games. Going back to college football for a second, that Auburn Texas A&M game, I do think is one. As a Penn State fan, that's going to be worth watching. I thought it was a good win this past weekend for Auburn. And much like the Big Ten, I mean, you just can't take anything for granted. But that's, those are two teams. Neither's going to be contending for a national title this year, but I think both of those teams, I think the winner of that game is set up for a really nice bowl game and a really nice opportunity. Obviously, Auburn still has Alabama at the end of the season, and I still think Auburn is going to give Alabama all it can handle. I really do by that time of the year. I like the way Auburn's line is playing. Mix is, to me, the biggest question mark on that whole team. I thought that was the case when Auburn was here, and I thought he played reasonably well that night. Well, more than reasonably. I mean, he played a good game that night. But his consistency is still an issue for Auburn. But if he plays a good game against Alabama, I'm talking about, or for that matter against Texas A&M, Auburn's, I think, going to be, again, right there in both of those games. But that Auburn-Texas A&M game, to me, is, it's going to be a fun one to watch.
It'll be a nice game to watch. And it's good for Penn State if Auburn wins, obviously.
For sure. If you're a Penn State fan, you're rooting big time for Auburn.
So we're talking about which Penn State team's going to show up this weekend. Which Alabama team's going to show up? The one that played Florida real tough and this and that, or the one that went and just could not play against Texas A&M?
Yeah, or obliterated Mississippi State.
Right? It's pretty crazy right now. Some Jekyll and Hyde stuff going on in this college football season. But, I mean, I know I talked about it Tuesday, but I got to go back to it. I'm telling you, I haven't seen a defense ball hawk like Georgia's in a long time, man.
Yeah.
I mean, every one of them is going to the ball. I mean, they are being very well coached, and they are just being aggressive out there and making things happen. It's pretty impressive. It's very impressive what they're doing out there right now. And they have that Alabama still has that, hey, it's our belt. We still wearing it. You got to come get it. So they still have that over top of Georgia, but I don't know, man. That's going to be a hell of a SEC title game, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree with you there. Penguins Flyers, Goon. I do think it is one of those games that just is fun. It doesn't matter when in the season it comes. Doesn't matter the seasons the teams are having necessarily. It's just a fun one for fans, especially in this area, to be able to watch. This Penguins team is still. It's been fun watching them. I've had a chance to watch a few of the games, and I like the grittiness that this team is playing with, and I do like the depth that I think they're building up ahead of getting full strength, and you get Crosby and Malkin in there. Obviously, those can be difference makers. But Jari's been playing very well in goal, and I think I don't know. I think this has a chance to be a pretty good season, pretty special season for the Penguins when it's all said and done. Again, as we keep talking about with all of these professional sports, it's just getting yourself into the playoffs and then being healthy and hot at the right time of the year.
Get hot, have a hot goalie. That's how you win a Stanley Cup. But, yeah, I mean, you're talking about the Flyers, Penguins, and, how the problem is the Flyers have sucked for the last 10 years pretty much, and it always seemed the Penguins always used to play down to their level. It was just like it was always really weird. They tried to goon them up with the Flyers, and the Flyers loved it because that wasn't the Penguins' game. It was like, all right, you want to muck and grind, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can skate circles around us. Why do you feel the need? And that's just a rivalry aspect of it. And,
no question.
I'm not at all a Sidney Crosby fan, but I mean, you as a Philadelphia fan, as a Flyers or a hockey fan, he literally was the greatest player in hockey for a good long time.
Yeah.
And, he's borderline right now with some younger guys that are overtaking him and all that. But, people always used to say that, he sucks. He never sucked. He absolutely never did. But it was always funny to me that him and Malkin they always got all geeked up for the Flyers game, and they didn't. I don't know. They tried to goon it up, and they played stupid and played into the Flyers' hands a little bit. So, the Flyers are actually pretty good. I'll be interested to see where they're at right now. And it's tough because the Pens are so beat up physically, and
they are right now
not really having all their players there. But it doesn't matter in my opinion when it comes down to to a big rivalry game. And these teams just don't like each other. That's the great part about it.
Oh, for sure.
Just to hate. I love the fact that Sidney lived in Lemieux's basement, and he pretty much beat it into his head how much you're supposed to hate the Philadelphia Flyers. So, but there's the all-time leading scorer against the Philadelphia Flyers is Mr. Sidney Crosby.
Yep.
Most goals ever against one team. Yep.
A couple of other things just to touch on.
He's really good at just ripping our hearts out. Son of a bitch.
Penn State hockey off to a nice start, and conference play coming up. I do think sooner rather than later. I don't know that it's this season, but they're going to get to the Frozen Four. Yeah. I mean, it's coming, and it may very well be this year. You can just kind of feel that is just around the corner here for this program.
We should bring Alan on here and give a little season preview sometime.
Yeah, we should.
I have an honest question for him. I know we have a lot of turnover at Penn State in the hockey world because guys are going pro, guys are going here and there. Is that why historically we're not even ranked in the top 20? I mean, think about it. I mean, we have to beat North Dakota to get in the top 10 this past week. It's like, why are we not there to begin with? Because we have so many unproven guys coming in. Huh? Yeah, but it's been the last few years that we haven't been ranked up that high, in my opinion, early. They have to win some games and upset some people, and then really, really put their name out there, what they can do. And there's been Guy is an unbelievable coach. I absolutely love watching that team play. And I didn't realize this, but the Michigan weekend, Michigan hockey's coming here and playing that weekend too.
Yeah.
I had no idea. They're playing Friday and I believe Sunday.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome. Or it could be Thursday, Friday. I don't know. But I got a buddy, an old teammate of mine, Eric Cole, coming from LA. He's like, oh yeah, I got tickets to the Penn State and Michigan game Friday night, or hockey game. I was like, that's freaking great, because I don't know, 10 years ago they had that Penn State day up in New York City.
Yeah,
I wanted to do that again. I mean, they had Penn State play Michigan in basketball at Madison Square Garden in the afternoon.
Yeah,
you got about a 4-hour layover. They could break the facility down and put a hockey rink up, froze the ice, and then they played. Penn State played Michigan in a hockey game that night. It was awesome.
Yep,
it was a freaking awesome weekend getting up there and doing all that. So I don't know if there's anything planned like that in the future. I'll go back to like they were in Nashville last week playing North Dakota in the kickoff classic, pretty much of the hockey version of.
Yeah,
I mean,
which was very, very.
I would love for them to not have done that on a football weekend, to be honest with you, because I would have loved to go on to Nashville and watch the hockey game. You know what I mean?
I think it would have been more fun.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Watching that football game.
What do you
Not
guys?
that it was. I mean, it ended up being a better game for sure than I was envisioning going in. But
when are you starting? I know the guys are back wrestling.
A week from Saturday, Michigan week, and I'll be down at Spooky Hollow instead. We have Penn State will wrestle Sacred Heart. My gosh, I'm forgetting if it's 5 or 5:30, and then after that, Penn State will wrestle Oregon State. Those will be the first two duels,
Sweet.
and then that following
both on the same day.
Yeah, back to back. Yep, and then that
Will
following
they have the same guys wrestle or
Thursday,
they
probably for the most. Yeah, I would think probably top to bottom. Chance that there might be a wait or two. But
speaking of that, I did
be.
see that Penn State Athletics released a statement today that they're not announcing the game until Sunday, the Michigan game time, but it will definitely not be a night game.
Correct.
I did see that.
Yeah.
And I would be hard pressed to do a night game 6 days before.
I'm hoping for a noon kickoff so that we're actually going to be busing down that day.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I can listen. If it's like a 3:30 game, I mean, I'm not even going to be able to. I'll be able to check my phone and commercial breaks and stuff. But yeah, if it's a noon game, I'll at least be able to track it. And follow it either listening or watching.
So that's next Saturday is their first matches, huh?
Yeah, and then that following Thursday will be the first home duel against Army.
I did get a BJC invitation today. Who are they wrestling there? Ohio State?
Yep.
When's that going to be? February usually?
Yeah, February 13th is nice. But that's what's in my mind. But
there's a beautiful Valentine's Day gift for some man and woman right there. I got you.
I might be wrong. It might be that first weekend in February. Yeah, I think it's actually that first weekend in February is the Ohio State meet.
Okay. The 13th is the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. They probably wouldn't do that wrestling in the Super Bowl.
Well,
yeah, interested in winter sports sessions. Everything's kicking off right now. I got to call Aaron tonight and see if he wants to come on the air next week and talk about some hockey.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Get some baseball or some basketball talk. I am looking forward to our basketball program to see where.
I am too. I'm
see what we've done with the transfer portal and stuff like that. I mean, it's such a big difference when you're trying to turn a program around. You could almost do it on a yearly basis. You pick the right guys, and the right guys are responding to you. You can change, pretty damn quick. Turn a program around rather fast.
No question. No doubt. And for as much as everything, there's been upheaval in college football, and I think it's fun that we're debating whether Oregon and Michigan State belong or Cincinnati, should be up there, whatever. I like having those discussions. I think college basketball over the next, and I think it's going to continue that way in college football, but I still think. Year in and year out, the Ohio States, the Alabamas, we'll see. I'm still expecting Clemson's to be there more often than not. But I do think with the transfer portal and with everything else that's now in play, I do think you're going to see – I think it's going to be more difficult over a 5-year period to have one team in there like 3 or 4 of those years in college football. I think even more so in college basketball, though. I think – college basketball is just going to be an absolutely wild scene each year in terms of and really, I mean, we've seen, obviously, over the last couple of decades, we've seen a lot of different teams in there. But I think you're going to see even more. I just think the so-called blue bloods are going to have a harder and harder time in terms of consistently being, a Final Four type of program or even a Sweet 16. I think it's Because again, I think you're going to be able to get these different teams that, hey, we're all in for this year. We're all in for this year. And then again, you get a little momentum going. Maybe you can get back there in a couple of years again. And I don't know. I'm curious to just kind of see how Penn State does in particular, but college basketball as a whole kind of proceeds here over the next few years.
Be interesting to see how Coach Shrewsbury does with getting some big men, because he pretty much had the lock on like 7'4" guys at Purdue.
Yes, he did.
I mean, sort of semi-athletic big guys too at that. So I mean, like what we're talking about right now is the transfer portal in basketball. Like Pat came here in 2011, I believe, and so he had 10 years in the program where they didn't have the transfer portal. So he had to recruit. He had to build it because he was left with really nothing. So Coach Shrewsbury can come in here right now. He can go out into the transfer portal, pick and choose some guys. Hey, I think I need a really, really good leader, strong leader, power forward type of guy. You goes right into the transfer portal, and you can pick one of those guys up. Where Pat had to go recruit one of those guys, get him past his growing pains as a freshman and sophomore, and then go from there. So I believe the transfer portal is going to make it a little bit easier for people to turn the corner and harder for people to maintain, constant with what you're saying. I mean, it's the same thing in football, but, I believe Nick Saban said it the best. He's like talking about college football rewards you winning for a title, where in the NFL, you win a Super Bowl, you get the last pick in the first round. Yeah. Which is you're already a pretty good team to begin with. So, yada, yada, yada. But, you win the national title in college football. Hey, congratulations. Here's five-star recruits. Everybody else is splitting 15 of them. So, a little bit easier, I think, that in basketball, like with what you're saying.
Oh, for sure.
So, is there a big issue with that in wrestling? The portal stuff?
To this point, there hasn't been a huge turnover. There's been a few, but not.
Oh, I got to have a question.
I don't think anybody. I'm just trying to think. I don't think anybody from any of like the top 4 or 5 programs from last year, starters anyway, or have.
So me and you were jumped. Wrestling off of 187.
Yeah,
right? Is that the weight?
It'd be 189.
I was so close, Boosh. So close, so close. All right, so me and you wrestle 189. I'm 6 years old, obviously, 189 pounds. But then you win. You're going to be the guy.
What
going
did I say?
189.
That's not right.
198. 180.
It's 184 and 197. I don't know.
Well, so okay, so
it's 184 and 197.
You are going to be our Penn State's guy at 184.
Yeah.
And when's that decided? December, before the second semester. So could a guy like me, who's okay, I'm a pretty good wrestler. I feel as I'm going to be a good wrestler, but I just can't break through this. In the off season, is there not in the off season, but in the Christmas break, is there a time where it's like, hey, I'm going to jump out and go somewhere to go wrestle?
Yeah, I mean,
has that been an issue before? Or has it even been allowed? Is it sort of new now?
No, it would be new to with the transfer portal. I'm not aware of any Impact wrestlers anyway doing that, but there's for sure the potential.
Nothing stopping
there.
anybody from doing that, right?
No, not now. You can't stop it.
I'm the 184 guy. I really, I worked my ass off this year, this and that, but I got beat out. Their sophomore came in and beat me out.
Yep.
Which is a big thing at Penn State, obviously, because who they recruit that type of guy.
Yep.
And, what's to stop him from in the in the end of December break? And hey, I'm going to transfer to Ohio State right now. Nothing stops them. So, man, oh man, I laugh about the transfer portal, Jeff, is that you read like social networks and stuff like that, and any time. Like, people just think you can go to the transfer portal and pick somebody up, like, for next week's game.
Yeah.
Why don't we just go pick somebody up, pick him up for the Michigan game?
They'll just fit right in, pick everything up. Yeah.
Well, we'll even teach you the stat cadence, because we're really good at that.
Yeah.
No, but people got to realize, I mean, we don't even understand this, the portal. I don't know how kids are supposed to. I have to ask. I do talk to coaches all the time. I'm like, I've so many questions about it. Like, if you're transferring from football and in January you say, I'm in the transfer portal, but you're still in school at Penn State, who's paying that bill? who is paying for your meals? Because you're sure as hell not sitting next to me if you've already quit my team and you're in the transfer portal. You're not coming to my dining hall and sitting next to me. Right?
I hear
That's how I would feel.
I'm right there with you.
Maybe we were just different. Kids are different. I don't know what. I'm so sick of hearing. Oh,
there's a lot that's different. That is that is for these days.
But it's interesting. So, what do you got this weekend, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I think. Well, let's start. I like the Penguins to pull off the win tonight. I really do. I have it. Penn State. What did I have? I think I have Penn State 41, Maryland 14. I think it's going to be a comfortable win.
Well, obviously,
for the Nets on Saturday.
A dogfight tonight, which is great. Obviously, is how the Flyers Penguins game should be.
And I do have the Steelers covered. I think it's a 6.5 point spread. To me, the interesting thing is going to be because Justin Fields has given up. The Bears with Justin Fields at quarterback have given up, 24 or 25 sacks. It's and he hasn't been the starter all year. And they've still given that, which is kind of mind-boggling. And I think the Steelers are up there in sacks. They're always up there, somewhere in the top 5 in the NFL at the very least. I think they might be second or third right now.
According to Chris Collinsworth, T.J. Watt is the greatest player to ever play his position.
So, there's no question about that. Who would possibly dispute that? And Najee Harris will go down as the greatest running back, other than possibly Franco Harris in NFL
He's my favorite NFL player, by the way. You know that.
I do know that.
And then my favorite college.
Yeah, I wonder what his thoughts are regarding. That's got to be a tough thing when you see a teammate, a college teammate, going through what's happening in Vegas with the. I don't know. It's just a horrible situation the whole way around. But that's. But I tell you, Najee is coming into his own, though, and
your O-line's coming into its own. We've talked about it repeatedly,
no doubt.
But it takes a little bit of time for these O-linemen to gel, and they were all good offensive line guys. So interesting. We'll see. But I got us this weekend. I don't know, and it infuriates me the fact that I don't know. We don't know what team is going to show up on Saturday. So if it's the Illinois Penn State team, we're in trouble.
That team's
I don't think
gone.
that's going to happen. So I got Penn State 38-14. I mean, it is. I've said it a million times. You got to treat them like Maryland. You put your foot on their throat. You don't let them up to breathe. They have to realize. I mean, they all want.
Figuratively speaking, let the record clearly show.
Yes.
Just want to clarify
these guys all wanted to come to Penn State. There's no doubt. I mean, that's their thing. So, 2 of the next 3 weeks are against teams just like that, the Rutgers and Maryland. Guys who wanted to come to Penn State, they didn't get offered, so they have this chip on their shoulder. So this is such a huge game for them. But we have to be prepared and ready to match them, or we're going to be in trouble again. I don't foresee it happening, but who the hell foresaw Illinois happening? So,
who indeed? That is going to wrap things up for today's edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. Hope you enjoy the Penguins Flyers game tonight. I hope I do. Hope everybody has a good time with the Penn State game on Saturday. And we'll be able to talk about the Steelers romp over the Bears when next we get together on Tuesday with another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. Until then, be good.